"Fix this car and it's yours," the billionaire said. Everyone in the workshop froze. The sound of the rain outside stopped mattering, the tools dropped, and all eyes turned toward the young mechanic standing there, oil on his hands, grease on his shirt, and disbelief in his eyes. Ethan couldn't believe what he'd just heard. For months, he'd been struggling to pay rent, skipping meals so his little sister, Lily, could eat. Their mother had passed away years ago, and since then, life had been a constant fight for survival. The garage he worked in paid little, but it was honest work, and he loved fixing things that others had given up on. Today, though, something extraordinary had walked into his life, in the form of a shattered luxury car and a woman who looked like she owned the world. Her name was Vanessa Hale, the CEO of Hale Motors, one of the richest women in the country. She stood there in a designer suit, her expression unreadable, her car in ruins. Ethan had never seen a car so badly damaged, the engine flooded, the electronics fried, and the bodywork bent. It was one of those prototypes only a billionaire could afford to wreck and walk away from. The other mechanics whispered to each other, shaking their heads. But Vanessa wasn't looking at them. She was looking straight at Ethan. "If you can fix it by the end of the week," she said calmly, "the car, and a job at my company, are yours." The room went silent. Ethan's heart pounded. He could barely afford dinner that night, let alone afford to dream. And yet, something in her voice told him this was more than a challenge, it was a test. He took a deep breath, wiped his hands, and said, "Deal." From that moment, his world changed. Day and night, Ethan worked on the car. The engine was beyond repair, the electrical systems dead, and sourcing parts was a nightmare. He scavenged through junkyards, stayed up until dawn watching old tutorials, and called in every favor he'd ever earned. His hands bled, his eyes burned, and his body begged for rest, but his heart refused to stop. Lily would bring him sandwiches and sit beside him, humming softly while he worked. "You'll do it, Ethan," she said one night. "Mom would be proud." Those words kept him going. By the fourth day, the other mechanics had given up watching. They said it was impossible. "She's a billionaire," one of them mocked. "She just wants to see you fail." But Ethan didn't believe that. Deep down, he thought Vanessa Hale wasn't testing his skills, she was testing his heart. On the seventh morning, the garage door opened. Vanessa walked in, heels clicking against the concrete. The sunlight poured in behind her, lighting up the scene like the finale of a movie. She stopped when she saw the car, gleaming, restored, and humming quietly like new. Ethan stood there, exhausted but smiling faintly. "It's done," he said. Vanessa walked around the car, her sharp eyes scanning every detail, the polished chrome, the balanced hum of the engine, the perfect alignment of parts no one thought could be salvaged. Then she looked at Ethan, her expression softening for the first time. "Do you know why I brought this car here?" she asked quietly. Ethan shook his head. "It was the last thing my late father built before he died," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "Every mechanic I've hired told me to throw it away, said it was hopeless. I didn't want to believe them, so I wanted to see if there was still someone out there who cared enough to fix what others gave up on." Ethan swallowed hard. "Some things aren't meant to be thrown away," he said. "They just need someone who believes they're worth saving." Vanessa smiled, a real smile this time. "And that's why you're not just getting the car," she said. "You're coming to work with me. You've got a heart this industry has forgotten." The room erupted in cheers. The other mechanics clapped, and Lily ran up and hugged her brother, tears streaming down her cheeks. Ethan just stood there, stunned, realizing this wasn't just about the car. It was about second chances, for both of them. Weeks later, Ethan was working at Hale Motors, designing engines that would power the next generation of vehicles. He wasn't just fixing cars anymore, he was building dreams. And every morning, before starting work, he'd walk to the parking lot and touch that car, the one that changed his life. Not for its value, but for what it stood for. A reminder that sometimes, all it takes is one act of belief, to turn a broken life into a masterpiece. So, if you're watching this right now, remember, never give up on yourself. No matter how broken things seem, you can rebuild. You can rise. And just like Ethan, one day you'll stand where you once fell, stronger, prouder, unstoppable. If that story touched your heart, hit that like button, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe for more powerful stories that remind us, no dream is ever too broken to fix.